I'm going to use my graduate education to discuss the free writing. To me, my first impression was they're very quiet, they're not responsive, are they not doing the work, and they're just kind of taking a free ride to get through the class. Okay, what is the issue? So I always address the thing. I said, what's the matter? Why aren't you communicating? Are you afraid? Are you shy? Are you not familiar with the topic? Do you need more time? And I would have some qualifying questions to try to understand. And if they are really not doing the work, then you have to address and say you have options of either get on board, get up to speed and get going, or get off the boat, because I don't have the leisure of waiting for you to decide what you want to do.
Based on the group dynamics, decide whether to deal with the person individually or whether something to bring up for the group to discuss. If there's a good group dynamic, I think sometimes you can actually do it in the group. Let's assume that that's not the case, so I would deal with the individual, and I would basically confront that person. I've had examples where I was advising IQP groups, where one student was clearly not doing any work. I would take him aside, confront him.
I think sometimes you can overcome these very critical people with just one-on-one coaching. I think if you want them to change their behavior, you have to ask them. And the other thing you can do in a group setting is get ground rules at the start of the meeting and say this is a brainstorming meeting. In a brainstorming meeting, all alternatives are allowed. We're going to throw out alternatives. We're just going to write them down. We won't judge them. Right. And then later we'll come back and maybe rank one of them, prioritize them, and talk about pros and cons. So this is not a time to be critical.
People don't want to dominate the discussion, and that I would do in the group. Sometimes tell them that give other people a chance. You can't just monopolize the discussion. Being critical, what I've done in those situations is to ask people not just to be critical, but be constructive critical.
I now sit back and I listen to everyone's opinion, everyone's view, and if someone isn't speaking, I will ask, what do you think the situation is, or what do you think should happen, and how do you think we should address it? So rather than saying, I think we should do this, this, and this, I take a step back and say, what is everyone thinking about X, Y, and Z? What's the pros, what's the cons, and how do we fix it? How do we make things work, and how do we move forward?